Deschutes County, those of us that live here know it's a special place, and many that visit want to move here. But if you own property in Deschutes County, you also know what crazy times it's been in the last few years regarding property values, which makes for real challenges at the assessor's office. Real market value, assessed value, maximum assessed value. You say tomato, we say tomato, but it comes out confusing all the same. I'm Scot Langton, your county assessor, and I'd like to prepare you for a crazy combination of Measure 50 and our recent real estate market value fluctuations. Please don't shoot the messenger, but some of you might be in for a bit of a surprise when you receive your property tax bill this fall. Now we've come up with a method for you to review your tax situation in a graphic way. To explain this, we've enlisted the aid of the Property Tax Fairy to tell you a story. The story of Measure 50 and the 3 tax lots.
What are you looking at? Have you never seen a property tax fairy before? Well, get comfortable and pay attention because we haven't much time.
Speaking of time, that's what this story is all about. Let's fire up the property tax time machine and go back to 1997. Then, Oregon voters passed Measure 50, which was designed to limit property taxes. Measure 50 created what's called the maximum assessed value, which was the real market value of your property in 1995, less 10%. Here's an example. In 1997, the real market value of this property was $140,000. The maximum assessed value of this house was set at $126,000. Over the next 10 years or so, the real market value of this property steadily increased, but Measure 50 ensured that the maximum assessed value only increased by 3% on this home. So the owners of this property saw only minor increases in their tax bill, while they enjoyed a major increase in the real market value of the property. Then the real estate bubble burst, and the property values began to fall. Because the maximum assessed value was so far below the real market value on this property, the maximum assessed value still increased 3% annually by law. And that's why property taxes still kept going up, despite the market value going down. That's pretty straightforward, right? This homeowner enjoyed the benefit of lower taxes despite fluctuating property values. A lot of new construction has occurred in Deschutes County since then. When a house is first built, it receives its initial real market value, and also with that, its maximum assessed value. The assessed value is the lower of these and becomes the baseline for calculating your property taxes. Now here's where it gets a little tricky and becomes a job for the Property Tax Fairy.
Because of the crazy real estate market we've been having the last few years and the ongoing effects of Measure 50, we may see some wildly different changes in the maximum assessed value of some Deschutes County properties, even if the properties are very similar to each other.
We've told you about Measure 50. Now let's illustrate the current situation. Here we have a typical subdivision in Bend. It was started in 2006, and the developer built several homes before the market started changing. As the housing market went down, it took several years to complete more homes in the subdivision. This home was completed and therefore assessed for tax purposes in 2006. At that time, the property's real market value was $280,000. Its maximum assessed value was about $120,000. The home right next to it was built in 2009. Its real market value was determined to be $200,000, and its maximum assessed value $166,000. Then, in 2012, this third house was finished. Its real market value was $190,000, and its maximum assessed value was $181,000. 3 homes, similar sizes, same location, but 3 different property tax bills. Property 1, built and assessed before the peak of the housing market, has seen a big drop in real market value. Property 2, built and assessed in 2009, has seen a little less of a drop in real market value. Property 3, built as the market bottomed out, has a completely different scenario. 3 properties, similar in size, design, and location, but their tax bills will be very different. Here's where Measure 50 has worked. Property 1, whose value dropped the most, saw only the normal 3% increase in its property taxes as prescribed by Measure 50. Property 2, whose value also dropped pretty significantly, now has a real market value less than their maximum assessed value. Remember, Measure 50 says the assessed value will be the lower of the real market value and the maximum assessed value. Because of that, its assessed value became the same value as the real market value, and Property 2 actually saw a 9% decrease in its property taxes last year. Again, with Property 3, this is its first year of valuation, so there's nothing to compare it to yet.
But here's the kicker. The real estate market appears to be rebounding. And as real market values rise, the assessed value will continue to be the lower of the real market value or the maximum assessed value.
However, if the market increases by more than 3% in 1 year, and the assessed value and real market value are the same, the assessed value can increase by any percentage until it reaches the maximum assessed value. Back to our 3 properties again, and you can see Property 1 is the most stable and will see the anticipated 3% increase. Property 3, in its second year, will also see a 3% increase, but Property 2 is going to be surprised to see a tax increase of 14%. That's because its assessed value was pegged to its real market value, and with an increase in value of 20%, it may come as a shock, but it's because of Measure 50, the law Oregon voters passed in 1997.
Oh dear, this can still be kind of confusing, can it? Which scenario is your property going to be in? Up, down, sideways? Well, here's where you can find out for sure.
Go to the Deschutes County Assessor's website. It's deschutes.org/graph-it. There you can look up your own property and use the website to view your own cool graph. You'll see your real market value, your maximum assessed value, and the site will tell you other useful information about your property. Some will pay more, some could pay less. We just don't want you to be surprised. If you own property in Deschutes County, you gotta graph it. It's simple, and it's a valuable tool. If you don't have access to the internet, come on down to the county offices, of course, and one of our friendly people will help you graph it right there. Of course, they're not as helpful as the property tax fairy, but what are you going to do? Can't be everywhere, right? If you remember nothing else, remember this: Deschutes.org/graph-it. Go there and graph it.
Thanks for your time, but I've got to run now. Can't miss that monthly Fairies International meeting. I hear the new Tooth Fairy's pretty hot.